The short answer is yes, that the bar is even higher because the the schools don't want their entire class to be really bright Indian applicants, and so they're, even though they're not official quotas, they're unofficial quotas. Especially, your background is a little bit different, but especially for folks with the same background, so you can probably add another 20, 30 points to the average to determine the school's average GMAT to see where you need to be in order to be competitive. If your score isn't quite as high, then you're going to need to distinguish yourself through your leadership in other areas, both at work and outside of work.
I completely agree with you, Mark. And the unfortunate thing, guys, is in terms of the Indian MBA students in any one of our classes, right? I mean, it's a relatively small percentage. I mean, we have maybe out of a class of 800 at Wharton, we probably had maybe 30 guys, or 25, 30 guys who were from India, right? But the thing is, the number of applications coming in were so much greater. So what happened was, yeah, pretty much most of these guys, they've rocked the GMAT. I mean, they just killed it because, fortunately for everyone here who's applying from India, I mean, we're math and math rock stars, right? And most people will just kill the GMATs, and so you have to really push on that. You must be above that average score. Otherwise, it does become very difficult. Yes, you definitely can differentiate yourself from with your stories, right, with your background, but ultimately the GMAT is the equalizer here, because most Western-based schools do not know, or they're not aware of the institutions in India, aside from maybe a handful, like your IITs and your ISBs, your IMs, and such. They may not be as aware. So what happens is they don't know whether to trust your graduation, your final grades, your ranking, or not. The GMAT becomes that standard metric, and it's unfortunate. So, so certainly, definitely push on those GMAT scores. Try to get above the average. It's not to say you can't get in, if you're at average or below, but it will make it just that much harder, unfortunately, because of the number of limited seats that are available.
I agree completely with both what Mark and Ken said, and I think Ken talked about sort of as an equalizer. In many ways, when admissions committees aren't familiar with whether it's the academic institutions or even some of the employers of applicants, they look to things that they can use to standardize, and unfortunately the GMAT is one of those. Their big fear is admitting someone who either won't realize the full benefits of the MBA program, or somebody that won't contribute to the other classmates. So oftentimes they look at the GMAT first before they really dig that much deeper into the application. So unfortunately, you really do need to score above the mean, and even 20 to 30 points higher to really be on par and have a full consideration.
And I would add to this, beyond the GMAT, remember, guys, that the adcom will only spend, and this is horrible to hear, about 5 to 10 minutes on your application. I mean, some of these guys have to go through 50 of them in a day. So really what you want to do is have distinctive elements. You want to stand out, and you want to be memorable in your essays. So GMAT is the first bar that you need to pass, and then make sure your application is distinctive, both in your leadership accomplishments and in the formulation of your goals. That's the hard truth about. That's not just for Indian applicants. For any applicant, is you need to make an impression really quickly.